On September 21st, 1970, the NFL did something that would change the future of the sport forever. On that day, the New York Jets visited the Cleveland Browns in the very first ever Monday Night Football game. I made a video a while ago about how Monday Night Football almost never happened and how the creation of this saved ABC, if you want to check that out. Quickly, Monday Night Football became an American institution, and one of the biggest events each week on the sporting calendar during football season. And for the first 9 years of Monday Night Football, oddly enough, the Jets never hosted a game. They played on Monday Night Football 7 times from 1970 to 76, and they were the road team all 7 times. In 1977 and 1978, they didn't get any nationally televised game, probably because both times they went 3-11 the year before. But in 1978, the Jets improved to a respectable 8-8 record, and with that, they not only got back on the Monday Night Football scene, but they got something they never had before. For the first time ever, the Jets were going to host a Monday Night Football game. Shea Stadium, under the lights, against the Minnesota Vikings. This was a disaster, and that's putting it mildly. I'm not talking about the Jets' performance on the field. They defeated the Vikings 14-7. They forced 7 Viking turnovers, including 4 interceptions from quarterback Tommy Kramer, and they picked up 183 rushing yards. But off the field, let's just say things got very rowdy. And this is the story behind the first ever Jets home Monday night game and how it got really ugly really quickly. To start off, security at sporting events today is way tighter than it was back in the 70s. I made multiple videos about that if you want to check it out. One of them involves a man who robbed a concession stand at gunpoint at Riverfront Stadium for the AFC divisional round matchup between the Bengals and the Bills, and successfully ran away with over $10,000. And another one involves a man who successfully climbed the fence and got into Super Bowl 18 at Tampa Stadium with a gun. Fun stuff. Back then, it seemed fairly easy to be able to smuggle stuff into a game. And man, did Jets fans do that here. To the surprise of nobody, many fans smuggled alcohol, including beer bottles and liquor. Alcohol made its way onto the field a lot. Look at this touchdown that Richard Todd scored at the beginning of the game. That's a beer shower if I've ever seen one. Keep in mind that because of the late start time, a lot of fans were already drunk, and were at local taverns beforehand, so many fans weren't even in their seats by the time this touchdown was scored. And later on, fans threw these cans and bottles onto the field, many of which were broken. But alcohol wasn't the only thing being smuggled into the stadium. Fans brought in Roman candles and firecrackers. One fan threw a firecracker onto the field, barely missing the Vikings huddle. Unfortunately, very little surviving footage of this game exists. Security caught the man though, but he refused to leave, resulting in a fistfight so bad and so large that 30 people got injured, and 15 of them got sent to the hospital. By the end of the game, there were hundreds of fans who had climbed over the railings and were standing on the sidelines waiting to storm the field. Some fans even stormed the field during the game. And after the game's final play, after Burgess Owens intercepted Kramer's pass, the team just ran to the tunnel for their own safety since the fans were storming the field. One of the nurses on duty said that she never saw anything like this. It was the worst I've seen in the 2 years I've worked here. Another security officer who'd worked at Shea for 10 years backed up that statement, saying that it was even worse than when the Mets won the 1969 World Series. And as one fan put it was Monday night and everyone knew they were on TV. People were all juiced up in more ways than one. Their largest crowd of the season, with over 54,000 fans packed into the stadium, was considered a borderline vicious one by the Associated Press, with the behavior of the fans being described as a new low, even for New York. Surprisingly enough, this didn't stop the NFL from going back to Shea Stadium the following year for a Monday night game between the Jets and the Dolphins, which the Jets won 17-14 without any incident. But the very first home Monday night game in Jets history, which was 10 years in the making, was an absolute disaster. Special thanks to all our Patreon supporters for helping out the channel. Your support is greatly appreciated. See how you can become a patron in the description below.